Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday. It is August the 16th, 2022. I hope that this Tuesday finds you safe and healthy. And I hope that you and your family are safe and healthy. And that the needs of you and your loved ones in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders, who every day are trying to save lives, and those that pick up garbage to keep streets, sidewalks, parks, highways clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience, and double blessings on the men and women that are trying to help rescue and deliver the teenagers and the children who are victims of child molestation and pedophilia, and also others who are victims of pornography, and those child pornographers, and those victims of prostitution and child prostitution, and those who are victims of human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and those sexual perverts who traffic in this human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children living on the streets of the United States, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions, and blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, we've been talking about, if you've noticed, we've been dealing with key players, or people I expect to be key players on this year's New York Knicks team. I often try to remind Knicks Nation that the Knicks are really in year 3 of a rebuild. Oftentimes people forget that, and oftentimes media ignores that in talking about the Knicks. When you're in rebuilding mode, it's just that you are rebuilding. That means starting over. The rebuild actually started with the arrival of RJ Barrett, the number 3 overall pick from 2019. And RJ, being the 3rd overall pick, is the cornerstone of the rebuild. Also, you have to add in Mitchell Robinson, who I think came in the year before RJ, 2018, in the 2nd round. And then from there, you're building out from there. The thing about a rebuild is that once you start, you're progressing, because you're progressing as your people, that your cornerstones are progressing. RJ Barrett is such a player. Him again and Mitchell Robinson. We did a video on Mitchell Robinson. We're expecting Mitchell Robinson to have a real breakout year this year, barring injury. He's been a 72 game player. That one year he really got hurt, broke his hand on Julius Randle's elbow, then broke his foot with Brooks Lopez, tripped him, and then he ended up falling awkwardly and breaking his foot. Those two things sabotaged that season for him. And that happened to be the same season that was the 72 game shortened season, where the Knicks end up becoming 4th in the East. But now Mitchell Robinson is healed. He played 72 games last year. And because now for the first time, and this is very big, bigger than most Knicks fans say. And it's amazing to me because I would say conservatively, 10 years. I'm going to use that term, 10 years, maybe longer. Knicks fans have been clamoring for a point guard. I mean, a full-time point guard that could grow with the franchise. And finally, we have one. And we have a lot of people saying, well, you're placing too much emphasis on the point guard. Am I? Or has it been the whole Knicks nation for 10 years? And we finally have one. And it has been a big-time hole in the lineups for the Knicks, not having a full-time, regular, real point guard. We've had people that were close, people that had point guard aspects, people that were subpar, never a real full-time, long-term point guard. Well, we got one now in Jalen Brunson, and he's going to make a major difference being a point guard, because the reason a point guard is so important is they get the ball to players in key positions to increase the likelihood of success in terms of efficiency of scoring. Okay, you get easier baskets when you have an NBA level point guard. You'll get easier baskets because he will see the floor and get you at least a 2 or 3 or 4 buckets during the course of a game that are easy buckets. A full court pass, a backdoor play, somebody turning their head on defense, and you get a couple of easy baskets because the point guard sees the play developing as it's developing and before it's developing. It's NBA level, the league level point guard. Okay, so that's Jalen Brunson. And then we talked about in another video that that's going to really help Mitchell Robinson because he's never had that. He's had flashes of it. When D Rose is on the court with him, he played tremendous. Okay. When IQ is on the court with him, he played better. But those were backup role guys. And in D Rose's case, he'd been hurt most of the time as a Knick. In this particular foray with the Knicks, he'd been hurt most of the time. So he hasn't been able to be on the court a lot with my man Mitch Rob. But now you got a full-time workhorse dude in Jalen Brunson who probably going to play at least 70 games, and that's going to help Mitchell Robinson. Well, it's going to also help RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has progressed in each year. And I think one of the things, you have a faction because Knicks Nation is so large. Like I said, Knicks Nation and probably Laker Nation and maybe Celtics Nation are the 3 largest basketball nations to me, in the world, in the world, in terms of basketball fandom. You're probably talking about the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Knicks. And I think the Knicks are the biggest one because of the sheer volume of people in the New York metropolitan area, not including people like myself that grew up in the New York metropolitan area and moved away that are still Knicks fans. Okay. So you have multiple millions of Knicks fans. It's almost like in football, the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to have a larger, but I'm talking about basketball. So in the terms of basketball, yeah, the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics are the biggest nations, and Knicks Nation being the biggest one. So in a nation like the Knicks Nation, where you're probably talking about, man, you could be talking about upwards of 5-10 million fans, you're going to have a faction that's going to be player hating all the time. And so you got a faction in the Knicks Nation that hates their own players. And like I said, I'm not a shrink, but I still think people that have problems in their life, they use the Knicks to vomit on, and to diarrhea on because of their own unhappiness in their life. And basketball is entertainment. And if that's how somebody, gets off on their entertainment, hey, that's how they do it. Okay. It is what it is. So RJ Barrett has suffered from a faction of Knicks Nation hating on him. He can't do this. They focus on, usually these people focus on what you can't do. He can't go right. He can't do this. He doesn't finish right. He needs to improve this and he needs to improve that. All right, let me just explain something to you. This young man is now 21, now turned 22. Came in the league at 19. Have you ever been 19? Were you perfect when you were 19? Were you perfect when you were 21? Did you have it all figured out by then? No, you didn't. And playing in the most difficult league in the world, it takes time for most players to figure it out. Not everybody comes into the league and just takes over like LeBron James. Not everybody does that. It's a rare thing. The majority, 99% of the players come in the league, take 2, 3, 4 seasons to figure it out. And usually get to about age 25, between 25 and 27 when they got it. And now, they're in their prime and now they're playing on the level that they can play, the highest level they can play. RJ's not there yet. He's not there yet. But each year he's growing. And that's the thing you want to see from a guy that was your 3rd overall pick, a guy that's part of the start of your rebuild, and that you want to continue to progress. What the goal is for the RJ Barrett to retire a Knick like Walt Frazier did, like Willis Reed did. You want a guy like that to retire, to be drafted by the Knicks, developed by the Knicks, reach his prime with the Knicks, win championships with the Knicks, and retire with the Knicks. That's what you want. when you get an RJ Barrett. So you have to think longer term with him. All right. Now, RJ is not the athletic freak. He's not the 40-inch vertical jump guy. That's not him. Okay. RJ is not the quick dude. He's not the blow you away, blow by you with the first step dude. But what RJ is strong as a brick doo-doo house. His body is just strong. It's been like that from when he was young. And he just overpowers most small forwards and two guards. So you put a two guard or small forward on him, he's too strong. He's going to bull by you. You're not going to be able to do anything about it because he's too strong. Okay? You can know he's going left, but if you ain't strong enough, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the strength of RJ Barrett. Now, each year, from his rookie year to last year, the points kind of is an indicator. It's not the only indicator, but it just gives you a good sense of his progression. So he started off as a rookie, 14 points a game. Second year, 18 points a game. Last year, 20 points a game. His rookie year was the year that was shortened because of COVID. And he started 55 out of 56 games. And I think we only played 56 games that year, 55 games. And he played. So he's been a pretty good workhorse. His second year, the year was a 72 game season, and he played all 72 games. And then last year, he played 70 out of 82, which is also a little cautionary because he may be getting overrun. Okay. I'm not expecting him to have played 82 games. But to me, missing 12 for a guy like that, gotta be careful. And I'm concerned with Thibodeau's style in that regard. Okay. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Last year he did. You recall, the idiocy of Thibodeau where he played RJ in a blowout game against the Jazz, I think, and RJ hurt himself in a game he shouldn't even been playing at that step. Okay. So I'm hoping somebody talks to Thibodeau because Thibodeau can ruin a guy's career with stupidness like that. Okay. Now he has progressed, this is RJ, each year. Okay. He is getting better. He not just in scoring. He's getting more efficient. He's getting stronger. The game is slowing down for him. Okay. So now in his fourth season, I expect another leap. Now, how big the leap's going to be, I don't know. One of the things we know about RJ is if he can get the mid-range game, and I mean like the 12 to 15 foot game going, he's going to be a problem because he's getting, like, for his career, RJ's a 36% 3-point shooter for his career on 5 attempts a game. Okay. Last year, this past season, he did 6 attempts a game and he shot 34%. Wasn't his greatest, but again, the spacing wasn't that good. And that's, again, bringing up Julius Randle. It's not Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson's a 5. Okay. He's not killing your spacing. It's when you have two players that need to be in the paint that your spacing gets really hurt. Okay. And so that's Julius on the other side. When Taj Gibson, at age 37, whatever, he was creating more spacing because his 3-point shot expanded. And we expect Mitch Rob to open up a little bit, but Mitch Rob is a 5. He's Gobert, Capella, he's that guy that's a 5. He's not going, and you don't see spacing problems with Atlanta. You don't see spacing problems with Utah. But when you have that second guy, and you don't have a real point guard, you're going to have spacing issues. And so that's what happened with RJ. So that's why, again, I'm suggesting we do something with Randle to give Obi those minutes because Obi doesn't create spacing issues. Obi opens up space. Okay. So RJ, though, having Jalen Brunson as a point guard who can penetrate, who can hit the 3-point shot, who can read the defense, who's a high IQ player, is going to open up space for RJ. Okay, then if you add a 2 guard, even if you play RJ at the 2 and Cam at the 3, or you play RJ at the 3 and you put Grimes in there at the 2, you're making more space. And that's going to make RJ more dangerous because people talk about his finishing ability. I don't agree that RJ's not a good finisher. Yes, you see him, his field goal percentage, his effective field goal percentage is 42% for his career, 41 last year, 44 in 2-point range. I feel like that's him in the mid range. That's him missing his mid range shots. And you can see he's very close to being able to be effective in that area. He's just missing some chippies. When he goes to the rack, he goes strong. And he usually is finishing at the rack. I'm not worried about RJ at the rack. But in the mid-range, if he can knock down a good 50% of his mid-range, he's going to be a problem. Because the three-point shot with the openness that he's going to get is going to be there. I feel like, and y'all know, if you've been watching RJ for 3 years, this is the pattern he's always shown. He starts off slow. And then about 25, 30 games in, he starts to pick up steam like a locomotive. And then he comes on like gangbusters from midpoint to the second half of the season. That's how he's always been doing it for the last 3 seasons. And I'm expecting that this season. So if he starts off with a bang, I'd be surprised. That would be real good sign. But he usually starts off slow and builds up during the course of a year. It takes him a minute to get in his rhythm. And he's not a dude that don't know what minutes he's getting. He did 30 minutes a game his rookie year, 35 in the last 2 seasons. He's probably, I think he's in the top 3 to 5 of minutes every year. And I don't actually like that too much. I'd like to cut minutes down to most of the 30 if I can. And you know, get him, preserve him a little bit. 30 minutes would be good. But his body is so strong, that and that's why I mentioned Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler does not have a 3-point shot. I don't think he'll ever get one because Jimmy Butler's been in the league for a minute, right? Jimmy Butler didn't just come in the league. He's been in the league for 10, 11 years. And so he's not really, it'd be hard pressed for him to develop a 3-point shot at this point of his career. Jimmy Butler's for his career is a 32% 3-point shooter, whereas RJ's at 36% in his third year and probably going to get better. But other than that, they're very comparable. Jimmy Butler's career average is 18 and so is RJ's. Jimmy Butler averaged 5 rebounds a game. RJ averaged 6 rebounds a game. Jimmy Butler's a way better free throw shooter though. He averages 84% from the line, whereas RJ is 70. And that's where RJ, another area we got, he knows he got, I think he knows. I know he knows. He's very well aware that he has to improve. I'm expecting RJ to get up into the mid 70s this year, 75%, 77% from the free throw strike this year. I think that's his next part of his progression. If RJ could get up to 75%, if he was an 80% free throw shooter like last year, he'd have probably averaged 24, 25. Okay. If he was 80% free throw shooter, but is what it is. So I'm thinking just that little bit, if he gets up into 70, like 75, I said 75, 77, you're going to see a couple more points, maybe 2-3 more points to his total. He'll be like 22, 23 a game at that point. He'll become, I guess what I'm saying, more efficient. And that's really overall what we're dealing with RJ Barrett, an increase of efficiency. Like Butler, though, very strong body. Butler has always been, when Butler came in the league, even as a rookie when he wasn't playing much, he had a strong body, very strong, could overpower 2 guards. He was playing the 2 at one point in Chicago. Then he played the 3, and he could overpower most people at his position. He still can. I mean, and that's RJ as well. Butler is a master footwork dude. He's in that DeMar DeRozan school, okay, of footwork. Jalen Brunson school of footwork. RJ is still learning that. RJ is not terrible now with his footwork. He's not, but he's going to pick up more. And some of you mentioned, which is true, Jalen Brunson's going to be a benefit to RJ in the footwork department. And if you bring a Carmelo Anthony, see, RJ's a sponge. He wants to get better. He has a desire to be great. And that's one of the best things about him. You bring a Carmelo Anthony into the Knicks, organization again, and you're going to get a guy that's going to help a RJ Barrett with his footwork. Again, RJ's not no kindergartner in terms of footwork, but I mean, you're talking about a guy that's already really good going to an elite level with footwork. And if he does that, like I said, I'm looking at a better version of 18-point career game Jimmy Butler. 18 a game, that's his career. And again, you're talking about a guy in RJ that I think could end up becoming a consistent 40% 3-point shooter, somebody that's 75, 77% from the line, and more efficient overall. So he gets a couple more points from the foul line. He gets a little bit more efficient in the mid-range, and he becomes a problem. Defensively, I'm annoyed, I guess is the good term about it, that people that don't recognize RJ's defensive prowess. And this is the problem. RJ looks bad on defense because he's guarding all the best offensive players. That's what he did this past season. He took on all the best offensive wings and two guards in the NBA. And you're going to get torched. This is the league. Anybody that does that is going to get, I don't care who you are. You take on the best offensive player, you're going to get torched. Okay, because this is the league. And so that's what made him look bad at times. But he didn't look bad because, like in his rookie year and his second year, turning his head the wrong way and getting caught on backdoors. He was doing that a lot this first two seasons. But he learned. And Thibodeau put foot in behind and he learned. He's learned. So now he is picked up that IQ level on the defensive end, which was, just again, it takes time. This is the league. It takes time. So he learned that. And now it's just and that's what he took on the challenge of becoming a better defender last year, which you want from a guy like that's your third overall pick and one of your core pieces. So now in his fourth season, the progression of RJ represents the progression of the Knicks. The greatest thing about obtaining Jalen Brunson, to me, is how he's going to help Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett progress. That's the greatest thing. Because if he can be effective in being a catalyst to help those two guys open the floor up, see more easy baskets and opportunities, become more of a threat himself so that pressure's taken off of them, that's going to raise the whole level. And that's why when somebody mentions Julius Randle's 20-10-5, please stop until you look at his career winning percentage as a player. The teams he's played on. Julius Randle, as a player in his 8-year career, when he's the guy that's playing, his teams win 39% of the time. Which means his teams average about 31 to 32 wins a game. Every team he's been on. He's been on a team with Jrue Holiday. He's been on a team with Anthony Davis. Any team, Lonzo Ball was his point guard at one point. Any team he's been on. The only time he has won was the 72-game season where the Knicks were the 4th seed. That's the only time his teams have won. I don't care what you say. If it's 1 or 2 seasons, okay. But 8 years? 8 years of losing? You're not making anybody around you better. That's the difference. Jalen Brunson will make RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson better. He will make Grimes better. He will make Cam better. He can even make Julius Randle better if if Randle's got the right mental attitude. And hey, your guess is as good as mine that that's going to happen. Okay? He's going to make Obi Toppin better. But today we're talking about RJ Barrett. RJ, if you had Elfrid Payton as the point guard this year, if you had Alec Burks as your point guard this year, RJ would still take a next step forward. He would still take a next step forward, even with those two guys. But you got Jalen Brunson this year. I'm expecting 22 to 24 points a game for RJ Barrett this year. He's going to be a focal point. He's going to be like the 1 or 2 option. And he's going to improve his foul shooting. Again, I'm not looking for him to become a 90% foul shooter. I'm looking for him to go from 70 to 75, 77. I think he could do that. I think he will. Okay. I'm looking for him to become more efficient in the mid-range. Not perfect now, but the next step up. So he's going from 17, 18 points a game now. I'm expecting to go to like 22, 24. That RJ, with seeing now, you're going to have Fournier's not your starting 2 guard. You're going to have a better defense this year. Even with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is not like a train wreck on defense. I want to hear from the Dallas fan. You listen to Dallas fan. Jalen Brunson is not a train wreck on defense. He's not your greatest defender, but he's not your weakest one either. Okay. On the Knicks though, if you're starting Brunson, Grimes or Cam, RJ, Mitch Rob, if you're starting Randle or Obi, Brunson would be the weakest guy as far as defense, assuming everybody, including Randall's engaged on defense. Then Brunson would be your weakest defender. And that's, as your weakest defender, you're in good shape. Okay, you're in good shape. So with better defense, with a better point guard, and then the bench, again, if Cam starts, fine. I don't think he will. I would like, again, I just said yesterday, he's the most talented, naturally talented, gifted athlete on the Knicks, in my opinion. But if he doesn't start, Mobb Deep is strong, because you still, if it's Obi, Cam, and IQ, or if it's Obi starting and you get IQ, Cam, Hartenstein, we still good. We still flowing. Our Mobb Deep, cue it up, because survival of the fittest is back with them. See? So that's why I'm excited about this. But RJ Barrett, him and Mitchell Robinson, but especially RJ, his progress is the Knicks' progress. And Jalen Brunson coming and RJ's work ethic alone is going to dictate another step forward for both the Knicks and RJ. And the thing is, like I've been saying, some of y'all, I don't know, y'all criticize the Knicks, some of you, as if you're expecting them to win a championship and they're not ready, and you're criticizing because they're not ready. This is year 3 of a rebuild. If we could get 45 wins this year, 45 wins, and get into that 8th, let's say anywhere from 10 to 6. And that's the range I'm talking about. Between 6 seed and 10 seed. That's a success. 45 wins and you're in that range, that's a success. Okay? And so that's the next step of the progression. If they get into the 6 to 8 seed and they get in the first round and they win, tremendous success right here. That's tremendous success. Because why do I say that? Because if you win this year with these guys, you're talking about RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Cleveland, you're able to keep all these dudes, Cam Reddish, and you win with them, they're all going to be back next year. And for RJ, Mitch Rob, Grimes, it will be, next year will be there as a crew with IQ. It will be their 3rd season together. See, that's a key, continuity. And so when you have all of them playing their 3rd season together, and they're just coming off a playoff season, that's what you want. That's progression. When you get to the 4th season now, you're looking now to definitely be in that top 6. That's the progression of a rebuilding team. This year, you're hoping to get in the top 6. That would be a tremendous success. But if they do that and they make the next step with the same crew, and we're all developing. RJ this year's 22. He'll be 23. Mitch Rob will be 25 next year. Obi 25 next year. If you play them this year and they can get 45 wins, they're going to be hell to pay for the opponents next year. Okay? And so that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to talk about the Utah trade and Danny Ainge. Forget them. Let's keep these kids we got. RJ's ready to take a next step. And he's taking it because Jalen Brunson's here. And, and so with that, and then his own hard work, which if anybody call RJ lazy, I don't even need to talk to you, because you don't know what you're talking about. RJ's one of the hardest workers in the organization. Okay. We got to probably slow him down a bit. These young dudes that we got work hard. Okay. If anything come from a Tom Thibodeau culture, you're going to work hard in the off season. And he does make sure these guys are doing that. And that's tremendous. So with that in mind, we're expecting RJ to take the next step. And I guess as a synopsis, RJ's taking the next step, and the Knicks are taking that next step with him. And that's what we need. Y'all have a beautiful Tuesday. Enjoy yourself. Work hard. Be safe out there. Shalom.